I heard, like, do this for a few seconds longer because this is the last time you're going to get to do this ever. And wasn't any more ill or debilitated than he was the week before. But when people are frail and elderly, they can pass quickly. So before the next Sunday, he crossed. And so
Wow. So
knew that wasn't my imagination, but I was afraid to tell anybody in my family that's what happened.
I apologize for that. We had two of you going. I'm sorry, could you just repeat the last please, part
Sure.
of it?
So when he did pass, and that week after I last saw him, before the following Sunday, he had crossed over. So I knew that that information I received was correct.
And so did you, you're young, you're 8 years old. Were you scared, or did you just feel it like a natural?
It felt very natural, and I must say, of all the variety of experiences I have ever had, which are very, very many, fear is not one of the emotions that I feel with it. Hardly ever. Curiosity, and I don't know what this is, but not fear.
Wow. Well, so when you found this, and I know you just mentioned off the air that you went to the library, you were looking for books,
Sure.
but when did you start really learning how to develop what you already had?
13.
And you
Age
did
13.
it through?
Well, what happened was at age 13, you're in grade 9, or no, grade 7. I don't know. I had everybody in my junior high school had to do a science project. And so you could pick whatever you wanted. And so I found this magazine at the public library. This is so bizarre. Science Digest. It was real teeny then. And it had the 5 like symbols, like the circle, the square, the triangle, the squiggly lines. And it says, can you guess which of these pictures is on page 52? And I pointed to it and I opened it up and there it was. I go, okay, this might be real. So I took out the magazine, and at the time I was babysitting for my next door neighbor. And this man had a PhD in physics. I thought he was smart and scientific. And so I asked him if this article in this magazine was real or fake in Science Digest. And it was written out of Duke University, where Dr. Rhine did the first experiments about these matters at Duke. And they had this thing in the back where you could get your own set of cards to test yourself. And the official score pad was $1 and the cards were $2. So I was praying that these individuals would stay out after midnight so I could make my $3 in the stamp, in one night. And they did. And I sent away for it. And I thought I won the lottery. I was testing me. I was testing everybody. That was my experiment. I copied one of his experiments for my 7th grade science project. And my teacher actually let me do this.
Wow, it's innovative. I love the fact that you did that.
Yeah, but I think, how did I even find that? See, I think Spirit put that magazine there for me. Even though I went to the library frequently, I never saw that. It just came out, that issue. I don't know, probably no.
Well, and synchronicity is everywhere, right? So there aren't accidents.
There's no such thing as a coincidence, and they were certainly helping me that day.
They certainly were. So when I love the journey. So you're 13 and you did this as a science project. Did your friends start asking you questions?
Well, because I had to test all these different people. So I tested my friends. You had to have a sample size that was large enough to be evidence-based. So I think maybe I did 10 people.
Okay.
Me, one of them. So that's really cheating, but for grade 7, it's okay. So I did 9 people plus me, and then I added up they showed you how to score the probabilities, and that was my project.
So did you learn anything new about your friends? Were any of them as accurate as you were?
Yes, 1 or 2 were, and but one stayed with it. We're still friends, actually. One of my very closest friends who lives in California. And the other one, I think, got, when people are accurate with this, sometimes they get uncomfortable because they get fearful. So after they found out they were accurate, they didn't want to do it. It scared them away. Well, that's what happens.
And you don't know what goes on at home, right? Like what you're taught at home and the belief systems that parents try to instill in you.
Yes, and I'll tell you something. When I got to grade 10, this is with the same friend now, we were both very poor in geometry and we thought we would fail. And we had two different teachers. And so they had these required theorems. And we sat in the cafeteria and each wrote down on a piece of paper which one we were going to memorize because we could only memorize one. There's like 20. And we wrote the same number on the paper. And I said, am I reading your mind and you're reading mine? Or is that the actual? And it was the actual one. And we both passed by the skin of our teeth for that one question.
Wow. That's
So
a great.
isn't that a crazy story?
And you know what? It teaches you to trust your intuition. And that
Yeah.
if you're having a difficult time with something, ask and see what happens. And the saying, is it's just fascinating. So you say, but talk about the saying, when a student is ready, the teacher appears. How
Yes.
does this apply to our listeners today?
Well, I think anybody who's interested in guided spirit conversation or any of the topics, which I'm sure are quite a lot, or have received messages from spirit, who would like a message from spirit, would like to develop and maybe a couple tips about their own intuition or what to do if you get one of these experiences and how to connect with the angels is who I work through.
That's
I
right.
think
Now, do you have classes on this that you offer to
yes, I do. And I have
students?
actually one coming up next Wednesday. It's just a one night class all about the aura, which you can register for on my website. It's $22 for the one night, very reasonable. And it'll be on GoToMeeting.
Okay.
And then on every other Saturday on Facebook for a half hour, I pass messages for free. My Light of Truth Church meets twice a month on Sundays. You have to join it, and we broadcast it as you and I are broadcasting this. And there's messages and hymns and whatever because we can't meet at our usual location. So we're meeting online. And then I have some reading specials for people who are listening to this exact broadcast. That a normally $65 reading will be happening for $50. And if it's the coupon code is 2020. You go to revellenborn.as.me and you will receive it. That's the discounted price. And you can have it on Zoom or you can have it on the phone. And plus then Lily does. So we got a lot happening all the time.
That's great. There are a lot of wonderful classes and lots of information flowing.
Yeah.
And so for those who are out there listening, if you want to call in and talk to Reverend Ellen Bourne, you can call at 888-346-9141. This is your chance to call and actually talk to her, ask Ellen a question, and she's here to answer if you'd like.
Or
Okay.
someone had an odd dream. Sometimes spirits come to us in our dream, and the people don't know if it's the spirit or if they dreamt of it. That's very commonplace. Maybe someone has a dream they're interested in taking a peek at.
That's true, but I have to share, speaking of dreams, so this week I've had 3 nights where I woke myself up hysterically laughing. I was laughing so much I was snorting. And I
Love it.
don't normally snort in my sleep or when I'm awake, but that's how deep the laughter was. And I have no idea what it was from, but it certainly tickled my funny bone.
I love it's great. You need some of that with what's happening out here. You need some balance.
Balance is so important. How does balance work with you and, when you're getting ready to, because there's so much out there, there's so much negative, and you're empathic like I'm empathic, because we wouldn't do what we do if we weren't.
Yes, but
So,
just because it's out there, you need to learn how to shield yourself from it. I don't have to pay attention to it, but I need to be aware of it. It's sort of like for people who've ever had a baby. You know how you sleep with one ear open? Like a fire engine could go down your street and you wouldn't wake up. But if your child cried a little bit, you'd hear it, even though the other one's louder. It's just an attunement. So I used Michael the Archangel to protect, since that's his job, to protect me and whoever I'm speaking to.
do you make an invocation or an evocation for
Yes,
Archangel Michael?
I do, and I always say a prayer, but I meditate before each person comes for a reading a little bit just to get their energies or see what spirit has to show me, or sometimes their spirits arrive in the waiting room before they do, which is always interesting because sometimes they're clattering around in here, or it sounds like somebody's walking up my stairs. I'm like, oh, I see. It must be for that person. They're coming later, so it's amusing.
So in your mediumship, do you see spirit? Do you hear spirit? Or how do you get your information about what you were
Yes,
just
yes.
mentioning?
Well, I do. They do talk to me. They do show me themselves. Sometimes they write things out for me, like in neon, like with one of those neon pencils. And sometimes it's just a feeling. And as I talk more about them, or they show me a characteristic or something, it starts to pull together, almost like a Polaroid photograph from years ago. First, you get the outline, and then if you leave it out for another minute, it fills in.
That's brilliant.
So
So
most people have seen that. I think they can relate to it.
I think, and if they haven't seen you, but they've seen it on TV, they've seen it how other people do it, but
Right.
it's
If you're
different.
practicing yourself, you might get sort of a sense of the spirit. You just got to go with it. You have to trust yourself and your guides that they'll take you to the right place. Because when you say it, then sometimes they feed you the next sentence. Then it just starts to fill in. But you have to have having the confidence to take that first step is not easy, especially in public. If you're a public medium.
And now, being a public medium, you're talking about gallery readings?
Correct. I've done
Okay.
in Lily Dellen, we have our own galleries. Once a month on a Friday night, we have a gallery at an old cult bookshop, which unfortunately isn't going on now. But
Hmm.
well, because we can't have more than
10 people
thank you.
at a gathering, but
Correct.
it will reopen.
Oh, definitely. As soon as the shop reopens legally, we'll be back.
Sounds wonderful. Let's talk about Lilydale. So
Okay.
you've heard how I've explained it, I think. It's a beautiful spiritualist community. It's a walking community, so there are no cars, which I love.
And the speed limit is 5 miles an hour. If you didn't like drive through to get to the supermarket because you live there.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I haven't been there. I've been trying. I mentioned to you,
Oh.
I've been trying for years to get there. I didn't realize you could drive even the members' garages, or they could park
They're
nearby
on
to
their own
them.
property, but if, for example, if you have an appointment, you have to get off the grounds. But once you enter as a guest, it's like a parking area for all the visitors. But they have it in many locations. Nothing different.
So let's talk about all the stuff that goes on there when it's open.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. It's exciting. You've got mediums, you've got healers, you've got
Message
psychics.
services. But no, we don't have psychics.
Oh, you don't have psychics. Okay. I
Some
stand
mediums
corrected.
are psychic, but in order to be a registered medium, you have to pass a test. And you have to bring through like somebody for somebody you don't know. And then there's like a questionnaire, like if you received the reading. How many of the spirits came through? Did you relate to them? Did you know who they were? Like that. And then if you get graded. And then you have to do a public session, and then the people you pass messages to grade you also. And so you need a certain score to hang out your shingle.
Okay. So what is the score?
What's based on the people's
No, I'm
comments?
joking. It's sort of like 78%, 90%,
Well,
98%. No.
well, it's not 100% because we realize that sometimes people are a little nervous on the tryout too. But if they're way off, or maybe somebody misses by 1 point, but they're a good community, it it's pretty hard and fast line, but exceptions have been known to be made.
Well, that's great because it's flexibility. We were talking about flexibility
All right.
earlier.
But if you get a 60 and the passing score is 80, you ain't getting in. You'll come back next year, practice a little more, take a few more classes, and we'll see if we can help you pass next time.
Do you know most of the people who like have they made themselves known to you before they fill out a form and say I want to be certified as one of your
You mean
mediums?
certified in one of my classes or certified in Lily?
Certified for Lilydale.
Oh, in order to be certified for Lily, you have to go before the board, fill out a form, pay a fee, do so many outdoor services for 2 years, take Monday night circles. It's a vigorous process. And then when you're done with all that, then's your test. So it's somebody who has to be pretty dedicated to wanting to do that on the grounds. Now you can take classes, from people like me, and it won't give you, you still have to do that to do readings in Lilydale. But
Right.
you can do them wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you live.
Perfect. Well, we're going to stop here. We're going to be right back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the religion of spiritualism. So hang on.
All right, great job. We're all clear. Back in a couple
Perfect.
minutes.
Thank you. So, all good?
I'm fine. I'm just going to get a sip of water while we're on break.
I think that's a great idea. I am going to join you.
Why not? Cheers.
You are such a pleasure.
Well, it's fun.
Well, and I think life should be
You
fun.
live in Charlotte?
I do outside of Charlotte. Yeah.
Near where?
Cornelius?
I'll tell you what. We have Jim's two kids live in Charlotte. One lives in Mint Hill, and the other one lives in Waxhaw. They're not that close to each other, but they're both burbs.
They are berms, and they're on the south end of Charlotte. So I'm on the north end. I'm 17 miles north of Charlotte. And they're, I don't even know how many miles, in a sort of split kind
Well,
of
I
way.
never went to where you are, but we've been down to see them many times, so I guess I'm more familiar with the areas they live in.
It's beautiful. It's humid. I mean, I thought Chicago was humid, but
It's better than minus 10 degrees with a wind chill factor of minus 20.
or 50, like it was
Yeah,
a
I
couple of years ago.
Well, Buffalo is not exactly known for our palm trees.
No, I was just going to say, and Buffalo's even
Same
colder.
thing. Similar.
So back in when I was a child, they used to show for Bayer aspirin. This just came to me. I just saw the picture of it. But they would say, and in Buffalo, New York, and they'd show these big blizzards in Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
So I actually think I have relatives up there. My mother, when we were children, we have a lot of relatives on the East Coast, like the New York area, Schenectady, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember where else. But
Your last name or your husband's?
Goldberg is my husband's last name.
Because you know what, I have someone that's bizarre. Because one of my grandmother's sisters married a gentleman. I mean, this is my great aunt, Mr. Goldberg, and they lived across the street from where I live now. Although they're all on the other side. But that's so funny.
So, no, yeah, it's my husband's name, but I sort of like it. I like it better than, yes,
So,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but we are just about to come back.
perfect. Thank you.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you are invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. This is Guided Spirit Conversations, and I'm Marla Goldberg. And today we've got Reverend Ellen Bourne with us. Ellen, I'm going to read this correctly, discovered her gifts as a child and has spent her life expanding and honing them. She is a former president of the Lilydale Assembly and is a founding pastor of Light of Truth Church in Buffalo, New York. She is also an RN, medium, Kabbalist, tarot expert, Reiki master, homeopath, providing healing insights, touching lives all over the world. Welcome back, Ellen.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
So we were talking and we were going to start, I wanted to find out about the religion of spiritualism.
Okay.
So share what you can.
Well, spiritualism became extremely popular in the United States right around the Civil War. It started prior to that in England and in the British Isles, and Arthur Conan Doyle was actually a spiritualist. And if you read through his books of like how he solved these crimes, he doesn't make a big deal of it, but he always had these intuitions. And a lot of law enforcement people have the same thing. Like, why would you look here for somebody versus there? Because they just feel it. I can't explain it. So neither can they, because that's not part of they're not trained like that. To go through your intuition. Police science is more of a science.
Right. But there is, I mean, there are spiritualist church. It's a belief system.
Yeah.
It's different from
Yes.
the religion.
The religion of spiritualism does not have a master teacher like Christ or whoever, Buddha. We respect all spiritual teachers, but we don't have like a go-to one.
Okay.
And so it can be Christian, but it's not because there is no mention of those things. The principles, the angels, the compassion, the love for one another. Healing is part of the belief of the spiritualist church that every person has the ability to be a healer. Maybe you won't do it for the public, but you need to learn to heal yourself and offer that to those that you love around you. And you don't have to do it through a conversation. I'll just say this. If you have a recipe you remember from one of your grandmas, and it always tasted better when grandma made it. Not because they had better proportions or ingredients back in the day. It's because of their healing love. When they were mixing the dough, they would think about the people who are going to eat it with a very happy heart, and that went into the food, and that's why it tastes better than if you just go get it at a bakery, because somebody's energy went into the creation of that, whether it's painting your walls or anything in life that you do can be done spiritually and be grounded and practical at the same time.
Which is so true. Like the movie, well, I think it was like Chocolate,
Or
where
like chocolate.
is that it? Where
Yeah.
she
Where
cried.
yes,
Yes.
I love that movie. But remember how she put a love spell one night in the spices, and then all the people at the table got up and started acting romantic and dancing with one another for no reason in the middle of the meal. It's exactly a perfect example of that.
Yes.
But many people who are looking for tips out there about how to, I'll just say some people in my family might think that what I do is silly, which I don't care. I don't ask them to do it. And other people may find it whatever. So when I'm dealing with those people who are more, you know,
Outside outside the sphere.
well, they're
Fun.
afraid. That's all. And they think that this is the other problem. People, I don't like telling people I do this if I go with new people at a social gathering, because then people think I'm reading their mind, which I'm not. Like that's work
Yeah.
to
And
me.
that's
Like, oh, you're a mechanic. Would you like to go change my oil in the middle of the party? I don't think so. So,
it's not
people
like a
don't just tell me one thing. I'm like, no thanks, off duty. But the other thing it believes in is messages from the other side. Communication with all planes of reality. So that means angels or people you know that have passed over to the other side can come through a medium and give a message to one of their loved ones, depending on like what the relationship was. Like you don't know what words are going to come out. It just might be words of recognition, could be an apology, it could be words of healing, it could be a tip about their future. So many different things that spirit can help us with.
and it's always such a blessing when you realize that you're open to it, you get the message, because it really does support your life. They will, if anybody gives you anything negative, this is what I've learned, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if anybody spirit wise, like if you hear anything negative, that's not spirit talking, because spirit would never tell you to harm anybody or do anything wrong.
No, but sometimes they bring up difficult subjects, like pretend they weren't the most loveliest person on earth. Like,
Mhm.
let's say someone has a father that comes through in spirit and they didn't get along with the father because maybe he wasn't a nice man. They sometimes come through and apologize. It isn't negative, but they're talking about that they want to be forgiven for that.
No, what I'm talking about, if people hear, you need to hurt this person or hurt
Oh, that's
yourself, that's what I'm saying. That is never spirit.
no. And I can tell you that too. I worked in a psychiatric hospital as a nurse for 30 years. So I've talked to all kinds of people who have these ideas that are hearing voices, but not the ones we hear. You know what I'm saying? That are very destructive in some manner. Because spirit is not destructive.
That must have been fascinating to be an RN nurse
Yes.
in a facility like that, and with your, with all of your abilities and
That's why I did it. I wanted to learn more about the brain science and how they dealt with these things. And if it was the same, if like they're like, I don't know, I had so many questions and answered tons of them, and I learned a ton and helped as many people as we could. So that was great.
That's wonderful. Do you have any wonderful success stories about somebody who was a patient that through even conversation, you were able to help them
Yes.
shift their reality?
Well, of course, but some people, yes, but the people have to be open to it. I mean, some people are like extremely mentally ill people, which I had
Yes.
too, that if you can, they need to like take a shower every day, brush their teeth, and eat 3 meals, you might be working on that. And somebody else might be some very much more sophisticated thing. So you just don't know.
Well, everything is so different, right? It's all
People's
individual.
needs are very different from each other. So you've got to meet the person where they're at.
Right, just like spirit and just like vibrations. You meet where
Exactly.
you're at.
It's the same thing. I think I did the same thing everywhere. I mean, always in my office, I always did all this, and I did that. To me, it's just under the healing umbrella because a decent reading should help you heal something or give you a deeper understanding in your life. That's what I teach my students. If you're going to just sit there and give information or whatever, mumbo jumbo, that doesn't make sense, then you're not doing the reading because you're not helping the person.
I like that. I like that philosophy because there are many people who, just want to know what's going on. Will I get my spouse, my mate, my partner, whomever? They are just, but it doesn't help any deep-seated wounds that might be going on that they might
Or you
need
have to
guidance with.
unmask them and just help them dissolve it. But the other thing is, then I always ask people, it isn't spirit everything. So what are you doing to meet somebody? I mean, I realize it's crazy because of COVID, but when's the last place you went out, to connect with people? What type of place was it? Did you join a bike riding club and like do something with other, if you like to ride bike,
Right,
and you don't know who those people know, or were you sitting in a cocktail lounge? I mean, I don't care if that's what you want to do, but then you're going to meet someone who enjoys that type of activity, which is nice like once or twice a year, but for me, it's not my thing.
right,
But I don't care if it's your thing, go for it. That's all I mean. Because many people think that Prince Charming is waiting to knock on their door.
right.
The white knight.
Wait, can I?
Well, that doesn't usually happen.
It doesn't. But there are some meet cutes,
Yes.
where yeah, some really innovative way you meet people.
Well, you never know. If you're open to that, you can meet somebody checking out in line in a supermarket. I mean, I once met someone when my car was running low on gas and I was coming home, so I bought it in a different neighborhood. And there was a man there who had a car breakdown. He was all dressed up. His car was up on the thing in the garage. I met him there because I just pulled in to buy gas. I didn't even see him. And he came out and he started talking to me. He was bored because his car was up on the lift. And he turned out to be a psychologist that I had heard of from Niagara Falls. What was
Wow.
he doing in Buffalo? It was like well, that's spirit, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, it's all synchronistic because you were
Yeah,
meant to meet for whatever reason, and whatever the exchange was,
right,
it was necessary to happen because it either
right.
helped him or helped you or helped you both.
Oh no, it was very interesting because this man's reputation, because he did a lot of teaching too, was he was very haughty. And so he was like not knowing what to quite to do with me. Because even though I know psychology, whatever. So it was quite a humorous exchange. We turned out we both like jazz, so that was some stuff we would do together.
Well, there you go.
It
And
didn't go anywhere, but it was fun to meet somebody as a friend, and you never know.
you never know. And hey, I believe that friends are really important. They're the bricks of our life's building.
Well, I would agree with you because I can tell you that once you get into this work, it's not something you can talk about with everybody. And so your tribe or your spiritual family, as I tend to call these people, are part of the congregants of my church, the people in Lilydale. You don't want to be isolated and not be able to share your thoughts with people. That's very difficult when you have nobody to, or you tell the next door neighbor or your colleague and they give you that eyeball roll. That's not fun.
I know they look at you like, what?
Right. Exactly.
Like,
And
do I
so
have
you
three
don't need to,
horns?
yes, but you don't need to be invalidated like that. It's better to seek people that have a similar, which is part of the religion of spiritualism. I mean, our services are just like, a hymn, a prayer, nothing unusual, but we do have in the middle of it a healing session where you can get up and sit in the chair and receive an energy healing. And at the end, we pass messages to people in the congregation.
That's so beautiful.
So it's very cool. It's a totally different type of service, worship service, than most people have experienced.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to experiencing it sometime. I haven't experienced it yet, but I have done Science of Mind.
That's cool. You know what? Then on Facebook, our church is every other Sunday at 10:30. If you want to join in, you can do it that way. You don't have to live, just because my church is housed here doesn't mean you have to be here to attend it. I have people coming from many places.
Love that. Thank you. I'm going to take you up on your invitation to join everyone.
Mhm.
So let's talk. You mentioned dreams earlier. Let's go back to dreaming a little bit and how one might receive either psychic messages, or you might, like when you see somebody who's transitioned and they came into your dream. So for
Yes.
example, my past dog, who ironically comes into my husband's dreams all the time, and it hadn't come into mine until this week. And she's been gone now, not quite a year, but I had her for almost 17.
It's a long time. What
Mm.
was the dog's name?
Mabel.
And tell me what type of dog
She
is.
was a toy rat terrier. So she's like
Okay.
6 pounds, of big personality. I'm sorry.
Yes, they're very energetic.
Yeah, big personality. She was raised with a Rottweiler and a Doberman. So she thought she was one of them.
A
And she
big dog.
kept up with them. Yeah. She was fierce. She was totally fierce, but not like a Chihuahua.
Hmm?
Not like a Chihuahua. Just,
No, they have a different temperament.
yeah. So, but she came in and I thought that was a beautiful visit. So it's like, thank you.
No. Let's back up.
Okay.
So, I would say, I don't know. I'll assume you're sharing a room with your spouse, but that's my assumption since you're married.
Yes.
That when you sleep in the same room or in the same bed with somebody for a long time, your unconscious minds mix in the dream world because you're both receiving information separately, but next to each other from the collective unconscious. So it's interesting to me that he kept getting this dog and then episodically, but with frequency, and you just got it now, and it's been almost a year. So dogs represent it's not just your personal pet, that's true, but dogs represent loyalty and unconditional love. So that's where I feel there's something going on in your life at this time, where that's an issue that this dog is helping you work on, or wouldn't be back. Like there's some situation in your life that's not that simple that you have to handle with just send it white light, unconditional love. Do not expect any like outcome. Don't be attached to it. But you're still, just because you're less involved, it doesn't mean you're not loyal to the person or the situation. You understand?
Yes, I do
So
understand.
sometimes you just have to send someone else's angels to them, even if you don't know who they are. I'll just make up a name, Joe Smith. If Joe Smith was having a hard time with me and I couldn't communicate with him, I would say, angels of Joe Smith, please send some white light to him, and my hands are clean. I didn't send the energy, the angels did. And you'll be surprised because angels can change people's circumstances and make stuff happen in their life that maybe they'll wake up. But it's hard to do. So let go and let God.
I love that. We're going to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about angels and how they are weaved in, how they weave in and out of our lives.
Yes, they're very influential and very cool.
Perfect. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great job. We're all clear.
Thank you. That's really interesting about her coming in, because I was like, huh. It's so, yeah, because he says, oh, yeah, she comes all the time.
Yes, but I want to know if that dog was highly protective of you in particular.
She slept with me. She was with me until Gary came into my life, because Gary and I have only been together like 11 and a half years.
You had the dog prior to the husband.
I did, but once she saw him, and I'm going to take off my glasses and show you, but she was like, oh my God, and batting her eyes at him. because she always loved men, but
Your dog had a crush on your husband.
oh my,
That's still your boyfriend. How funny is that?
oh, it was hysterical. And after, we got married, like even though she was my dog, but she wasn't. It's like
I
I
get
would
it.
I would take care, but her affection, even when we put her down, she didn't say goodbye to me.
Yes, but then look at your husband's life. There's something going on in his life,
That I know about. Yes.
which I don't need to get into, but where those principles apply, because he wouldn't keep receiving the dream about the dog, but now for some reason you need that. Not about his situation, about your whatever.
It's interesting.
There's a
Okay.
place in your life that fits, and I don't want to get into it on air, but
Thank you. I appreciate it. So maybe when we're done, you'll give me some insight. I would
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, everybody has stuff.
we know this, but it's whether we're mastering it or it's mastering us. That's the
I
keynote.
love
If you're
that.
letting the stuff run you, then you're not running your life. You're letting your stuff run it. And if you want to run it, then you have to find out a way to master your own self. That's what meditation's about. It's very simple. I
I
mean,
just love that phrase though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to have all these thoughts, but then once you take them in, you send them out. Like, here, I'll just give you a goofy example. Watching the 11 p.m. news before you go to bed. Why would you want to fill your mind with all these terrible thoughts and then go right to sleep? Who thought of that? It's cuckoo.
Exactly. That's why I watch comedy. If I do anything, I watch it
Or watch the news at a different time of day if you want to watch it, or read a magazine, but don't sit there with it in your face. All these hair, and I think I'll go to sleep. Excuse me? Is that logical? No.
It's not logical, but at a certain point in my life, I realized that, and for me, I'm just
Right.
sure it's mine. And so I have to watch comedy or have something light before bed.
Right. Or read a book. I mean, or listen to music. There's many things one could do. But I wouldn't stuff my head with all these horrible daily events.
Oh my God, I can't.
Now, how about if I suggest you, I love people. They look at me. I go, well, how about if you call me up for a half hour before you go to bed and I'll read you horrible newspaper articles about tragedy and bad weather, and then you should go to sleep. Would you do that? Well, of course not. Well, what's the difference?
I hate to
Doing it,
interrupt you, but
okay? I'm not the person telling you.
Hi, Matt.
yep, stand by. We are coming back.
Perfect. Thank you. That's so true.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. I am speaking with Reverend Ellen Bourne, and Reverend Bourne is world-renowned, and she is the former president of the Lilydale Assembly in Buffalo, outside of Buffalo, New York. Ellen is also an RN, a medium, a Kabbalist, tarot expert, and Reiki master, as well as a homeopath. So welcome back, Ellen.
Thank you. This is a fun time.
This is great. And I really want to also get back to that conversation we had, but it's charity shout out time. And this is the time we talk about the charity of our guests' preference. And yours is Lilydale Assembly.
Correct.
So let's talk about the Lilydale Assembly and the help that, if it resonates with those out there, why it's such a great thing.
Well, it's a village. It's the largest village in the whole world of spiritualism, even though it's not that big. We have a giant spiritual library there that is a lot of books about spiritualism and other spiritual books. The Healing Temple is free. You will go in there during hours. And it's got beautiful old grounds. It's got a virgin forest. It's got a little lake. It's very picturesque. And a lot of people go there just to walk around, and be in nature. We also offer readings, classes, church services, a free auditorium lecture, message passing galleries 3 times a day. So there's a lot to do there in the summer and classes. And we're a 501c3, not-for-profit religious organization. So, and our buildings are old. Some of them are like, very old. Our
Aren't a
public,
lot of them over 100 years old? There's a lot that are old like that.
yeah, but well, if you figure that Louisville began in the 1860s, around the time of the,
Oh,
because Lincoln used to hold seances in the White House, which a lot of people don't know.
he
President
did.
Lincoln, yeah, he was a spiritualist. Because if you recall that his wife had lost a lot of kids, babies, and
Yes.
and they used to say she was crazy when they had these seance, but he went to them too because she would get and he also got messages about think of ending the Civil War, what that took of him as a person. And he didn't do that. He got that, and also in the quilts that were sewn in the South were certain designs for the soldiers that told them like where the North was. There's and Dill, wait a minute, Drew Gilpin Faust, who is the president of Harvard University, wrote a book about women's roles in the Civil War, and there's an entire chapter dedicated to spiritualism in there because that
That,
was a big part. Because if you think of how many people died in the Civil War,
yeah.
25% of the country, that's 1 out of every 4 people you know. That's pretty ugly. And so people were wanting, it caught on because so many people wanted to talk to their friends and relatives they crossed, or sometime a regiment from a village would go, and that one person would return. It was horrible. It was, if you study it historically, it's not gone with the wind, baby. But at any rate, and a lot of these women would go into the fields with their husbands. How do you think they got cooked for and were like, gave first aid? And it's a very interesting book about that time and the role of females. But there's a whole chapter in it. And so Lily Dale brought up at that time too. And there are spirit paintings of Lincoln there. There's many things there that are, the History Museum. It's got the weirdest objects in it you've ever seen that we will never see anywhere. But everything is very cool. Spirit paintings, um, many different.
And so you can use the support through donation or, and
Yes.
where would they go to?
To Louisdale, our website, louisdaleassembly.com, and there's a donate click.
Perfect. Thank you. So if you all resonate with what Ellen has shared with you, please, they could use the support, and especially this year because things look at everyone's struggling. And this assembly also has its challenges because its life has changed as well as we know it. So they could
We
use,
can't have as many visitors, so it's been a little rough.
right, but they do have online classes, so that is really a positive thing to do as well to support Lilydale.
Yes, if you want to enroll in a class on their online catalog, you could do that also and support them by supporting one of our presenters. And also I'm hosting an astrology discovery series, which I'm not teaching every class, but it meets every Wednesday night between 7 and 9, and it's only $20. And we have different topics and different speakers every week from all over.
That
So
is,
that's sort of cool.
that's very cool. I mean,
Not a hefty price.
right, and it's affordable. It's affordable.
Mhm.
And so, but it helps Lilydale, and it's been around since
1860s.
1860s. So we want to keep it going to at least forever.
Yeah.
As long as
that's
people are on this
the
earth.
legacy, is that people come and they feel after they spend a time there, they feel somewhat healed or more at peace. It's very peaceful there. Because you can hear like the leaves moving and these big old trees and the lake. It's like everything's in miniature. Teeny forest, teeny lake, but it's fabulous.
Oh, it sounds lovely. I can't wait to get there because I've been
It's a very
trying.
inspiring place to be, and there is no other place like it of its size. Not that it's so huge anywhere else in the whole world. So it's very unique and very cool.
And the other thing is, if you want to check out Lilydale, it's not going to happen this year, but get on their mailing list so you know what activities are happening, what events are happening, and when they're going to be able to open up to the public.
Yes.
So that it can get back to their new norm
Yes,
And
we're waiting for the governor to let us know.
so, and when you sign up for the email list, then you'll know as well. And then you can support by even
Right.
walking the grounds or going into the museum.
You can just go for an ice cream if you want and sit there in the park by the water. It doesn't matter, but yes. So that's a good thing. And we're also sponsoring a big astrology conference weekend there on September 30th for the first weekend in October. So and if you send me your email, I'll put you on my monthly newsletter because it has all this jazz on it. If you
And
want to be a subscriber, just find me at ellenbourne@roadrunner.com or go to my website, www.ellenbourne.com, and just send me your email. And then I'll send you a personal copy of our newsletter every month and you can keep track of what's happening.
perfect, absolutely
So hard
perfect.
to remember all these things.
It is, but that's why it's taped so they can go back and hear it again.
Yeah, that's wise.
So there we go. Okay, so before we left, I wanted to talk about angels, but
Yes.
I want to end the show with talking about what we were talking about on the break before you go to bed. So I want to make sure we hit that as well. So let's talk about angels, the roles they play in our life.
Well, angels, you have to realize do not have free will. People have free will. Like if you want to do this today and do a broadcast, you can. If you don't want, it's your choice. Angels get an assignment. For example, the chief archangel is Michael, and he's the protector. So it's his job. That's why I use him for mediumship to keep any negativity out and any negative spirits out. I just allow him to protect me. And he's over here on the right hanging. But and his color is Crayola crayon red. So let's say let's say you're having an important meeting like at your job, and you feel like you want more protection. Nobody knows what color your undergarments are. I'll just put it that way.
It's so funny you say that. When I was going through my divorce, a friend of mine who's a healer said, wear your red underwear when you go to court.
Yes,
So I was
protection.
decked in red.
After Valentine's Day and Christmas, they go on sale. That's the best time to stock your underwear.
So, and then
For
but
you
so
ladies, a little shopping tip. No, but seriously. And so we have Michael, we have Raphael, who's the angel of healing, who's green. We have Uncle Ralph. We have Gabriel, who's the archangel that has to go with message passing. He's got the horn. A lot of times
yes,
people see him flying sideways at Christmas. There's a decoration with
yes,
that horn. Da da da, big announcement. So when you're starting to receive, that's where it's coming from. And then we have Uriel, Uriel, a non-canonical, non-biblical angel, Arch and Sandalphon, the archangels of the earth plane. So that's fire, air, earth, and water. So I always call them in, or sometimes, pretend you know somebody who's in the hospital. You want to send, don't worry about it. Don't picture them sitting there in their hospital pajamas, because I don't want your negative energy on me if that's me sitting there. You just call on Raphael and send him some white light. Which would you rather receive if you were a patient? I worry or a blessing from an angel? This is all real simple, but there's a lot of tools.
there are a lot of tools, and blessings from an angel would be my vote.
Well, of course, it's the same thing as watching the 11 p.m. news. Now, whoever invented this custom, I think, is a bit nuts. But at any rate, why would you want to sit in front of the TV and watch the worst events of the day, because there's no good news on the news, and then fall asleep thereafter? To me, that makes no sense to fill your mind with all this goofy stuff. And then, gee, it's a good time to go to sleep. It's totally illogical. So I'm not saying black out the news, but just don't watch it at that time.
It's
Or
like watch it in the morning, watch it at noon, but not before you go to bed.
read it in the paper or read it online. You don't need to have it in your living room.
But even more so, those TV shows that have murders and killing or movies like that before you go to bed, I
Yes,
say
but you
no.
tell me why the most popular shows on TV are all about murder and mayhem, and people watch them before they go to bed. It doesn't give a good sleep to your mind. And your mind is relaxing, you're rejuvenating when you're sleeping, not just your body. So you want to give it a chance.
Exactly. And so this is the point that I wanted to bring up to people that we were talking about, is that in closing the show and in closing this conversation, that please, 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 I invite you not to watch anything violent, gruesome, horrible, negative before bed.
Yes, take care of yourself. It works better that way.
And if that's the biggest tip we have today, it's a big one.
It's huge because many people have to change their habits.
Ellen, I want to say thank you so much. I can't believe the time is up. I'd love to have you back again.
Well,
You're
we'll
so
do that.
wonderful.
Pleasure's been mine. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank everyone at Voice America for all you do to get the show up and running. To Teresa and Angelique, thank you. And I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life, to tune in and either watch or listen to Guided Spirit Conversations. If you like the show, please like us. And if you are on YouTube and you see the channel, please subscribe, because we'd love to know that you're out there, and we don't want you to miss any one of our exciting guests coming up or our replays. So tune in. And my final request for everyone out there is please be respectful and considerate of other people when you're outside, because you don't know what they're dealing with health-wise, and you don't know what you might bring them. So in this time of COVID, please just show consideration to your other humans, four-legged beings or otherwise. Now, all right. Exactly. So till the next time, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Stay well.
All right, good job. We're all